Everyone, remain calm.
Yeah, that's how it always starts. And later there's running and screaming.
Somebody talk to me! What is happening?
Welcome to Jurassic World.
You're listening to the Jurassic Park Podcast.
You want to consult here or in my bungalow? Hold on to your butts.
Well, we're back.
Hello, and welcome to the 38th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Jost, and we're here to discuss all things Jurassic Park. In this episode, we've got some news, a few voicemails to listen to in our listener segment, an awesome chat with Victoria from Victoria's Cantina, where we break down the new Dino Hybrid toy line, and a funny audio clip to listen to. It's going to be a great episode, so let's get things started off with a bit of Jurassic news from around the world.
18 minutes and your company catches up on 10 years of research.
Access main program. Access main security.
These pictures were taken in hospital in Costa Rica 48 hours ago.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
It's Dave. I guarantee it.
The biggest bit of news this week is the unveiling of the new toy line from Hasbro. Here's some information from the press release. Inspired by Jurassic World, one of the biggest global blockbusters of all time, and the mobile game from Ludia, comes the next evolution of one of the most successful and popular franchises in movie history, Dino Hybrid. A terrifying and imaginative new development, Dino Hybrid further evolves the genetic enhancements of these ferocious and astonishing creatures, with high detail, photoreal colors, sharper claws, and of course, more teeth. Dino Hybrid will unleash genetically modified breeds of new dinosaurs that will roam, swim, and fly into the world of imagination. New for 2016, Hasbro introduces a line of ferocious hybrid dinosaur figures that is sure to engage fans of all ages in prehistoric adventures. With the introduction of our predatory Pteromimus, cunning Carnoraptor, massive Stegoceratops, and the astonishing Dilophosaurus Rex, play will never be the same. Dino Hybrid will satisfy Jurassic lovers everywhere as they excitedly await summer 2018, when executive producer Steven Spielberg and stars Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard return for Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment's Jurassic World sequel. So stay tuned for a more detailed look when we get into the visitor center a little bit later on. If you're anywhere near London, I'm sure you've already heard all about the first showings of Jurassic Park live in concert. Royal Albert Hall in London has revealed the first 3 showings by Film Concerts Live, where you can view Jurassic Park in high definition on the big screen along with the Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra, conducted by Ludwig Wicki. According to Royal Albert Hall's website, the show opens the 3rd of November and runs through the 5th. Now there is a slight discrepancy as Film Concerts Live, who is the production company, their website says the world premiere is the 4th of November. Now, I have reached out to them for some clarification, or at least some hopes to update their website. But either way, this is awesome for everybody out in London, and I hope to get to experience this out here sometime soon. Head over to the show notes for a link to purchase tickets. Steven Spielberg has been a consultant for Universal theme parks for nearly 30 years, and it's looking like he will continue his contract past 2017. It was considered that he would end the contract, but now it's looking more likely that he will stay on as a consultant. He could take a lump sum at the end of his contract, or he can continue on and receive a percentage of the theme park's revenue. That seems to work out the best for him. Steven has worked with Universal on the films he's directed, and even films he's produced. And Universal really has built their theme parks based off Steven's properties, so I can't really see him leaving this opportunity anytime soon. There's also a bit of optimism in his future developments with the theme parks, so let's hope this helps out with some more Jurassic attractions sometime soon. Big news for alumni of Jurassic Park, Laura Dern has been cast in Star Wars Episode 8. Now, we don't know the extent of her role, but hopefully this puts her in a position to work with Episode 9 director Colin Trevorrow and possibly get her back into the Jurassic franchise. I'm sure that's something we would all love to see. Congrats to Laura on the casting.
Oh, there it is.
I'm not a computer nerd. I prefer to be called a hacker.
Aren't you supposed to be a genius or something?
I can't get Jurassic Park back online without Dennis Nedry.
Incorporating all the latest technologies.
We shouldn't be here. And there's 5 dinosaurs.
How many Sarahs do you think are on this island?
This week we have a few voicemails to check out, and I'm extremely happy to present the voice of Jurassic Park fans here each and every week. So let's jump right in.
Hi Brad, I'm Fede. Thank you for this opportunity with your podcast, because now we can record our voices and put them in the podcast, and it's a wonderful opportunity. Your podcast is really amazing. So my question is, what do you think of the humor in the Jurassic series? I mean, all the movies, not only Jurassic World. Because I think that there are many criticisms about Jurassic World, about the humor in the film. They say, oh no, too much humor, it's light-hearted or whatever. And I think the humor is really an important part of Jurassic Park. So I think those are not useful criticism, I think. So my question is, what do you think of the humor in the Jurassic series? And also, which ones are the real comic relief of the films? Because for example, in Jurassic World, many says, oh, it's a Jake Johnson's character, Laurie, but maybe it's Masrani, I don't know, or Claire for you, or Owen. So my question is, which for each movie, who's the main character, the main comic relief character, and also what are the funniest scenes for each movie for you? Thanks again, and see you later, Brad, on Twitter.
Hey Fede, thanks so much for sending in that voice message. I really love the question as well. I think comedy is super important to the Jurassic Park series. Typically, people don't think comedy when it comes to Jurassic Park, but each film absolutely has its fair share. There are instances in all the films that make me laugh each and every time I watch them. It really doesn't matter how many times. I could watch them, twice in a row, and I'd still find them funny each time. Honestly, I think the first film is probably the funniest, and really, it's not really the humor per se or the jokes. I think it's just that I find certain parts of the film funny, even if they weren't really intended to be funny in the first place. Now, in the future, I think we could do a full episode on the topic of humor, but for now, I'll break down your question anyway. I think the funniest character in Jurassic Park has to be Ian Malcolm. Now, he is certainly the catalyst for introducing the concept of chaos and the downfall of the park, so that's not really funny. But aside from that, every other time he speaks, he's being sarcastic and he's being humorous. Now, you could argue for Nedry. Obviously, he's funny as well, but I think his screen time is a little bit more limited. Obviously, I think one of the funniest parts, the funniest scenes in Jurassic Park has to be Ian sauntering up to the dino droppings. As for The Lost World, I think the funny character is yet again Malcolm. There's a ton of humor in that film, and most of it, I think it really comes from him. I love the scream turn yawn in the beginning, and one of the funnier moments actually also probably comes when they find Sarah.
Look, she has to touch it. She can't not touch. She can't not touch. Once she sees, look at that. Once she sees something, she's got.
That line gets me every time. As for JP3, the funniest character has to be Charlie. I love the whole sequence where the group is on Sorna being attacked by the Spino, and Charlie gets distracted by Barney. That whole sequence is hilarious to me. And let's see. As for Jurassic World, I would actually pick Masrani, surprisingly. I think his lines during the helicopter flight make me laugh super hard every time. He knows when to hit the right moments with the comedy and the humor. and I love that about his character. So hopefully I summed up everything well enough. Like I said, I want to do a full episode on this topic. Your question really enticed me to do that, and I think the comedy really deserves that. So thank you so much for sending in the question, and hope to hear more of you here on the podcast sometime soon. Now, we've got another one here, so let's take a listen.
Hey, it's the first-time listener from last episode. I'm at Scorpio Dino 16 on Twitter, and that's Scorp with a K. And I had a question about the plot of Jurassic World 2. What do you think about this being the plot? I mean, Colin said that, it would be like, Apple versus PC with dinosaurs. You know how, different companies that make PCs all make different kinds of PCs, Apple has the Mac, PC has the whatever they have in it, Microsoft has something, but when it all boils down to it, they're still just a PC, they're still just a computer. What if they were the same thing for dinosaurs? What if one company let's just throw Biosyn out there, had a completely scientifically accurate raptor, small with feathers. Then you have InGen Masrani's, which is big without feathers. Then you have one other company that's small and scaly, and then you have another company that's big and has feathers. And it keeps on going and going with different combinations for all different dinosaurs. And every company, like Colin said, every 12 entities, or whatever he said, 15 different entities, have different versions of dinosaurs. And consumers can choose which kind they want. Just a thought. Love the podcast, guys. Keep up the good work. See ya.
Hey man, thanks so much for the voicemail, and I think you're on the right track when it comes to the PC versus Mac argument that Colin brought up. I kind of just considered that we'd get the same version of dinosaurs that we've seen before, just from different companies this time around, but I really do like your idea of different versions of the same dinosaur. I think you could be right about this. I would love to see another company come in and say, we've created the most scientifically accurate dinosaurs you've ever seen. And possibly another company that comes in and says, now we've introduced a gene that makes all our dinosaurs docile and friendly. That would be something to see. So I think different versions would be pretty awesome. And it would finally silence all those who say that Jurassic Park is so incredibly inaccurate with their depiction of dinosaurs. They could probably come up with a company that screws up the design immensely and forces InGen to come in and save the day with their creations. I would be totally for something like that. But I just can't help thinking of the chaos the Earth would be in if there was 10 or more different companies creating dinosaurs. Now, I'm sure this is what we'll see, so it's only really a matter of time. Now, we actually got a follow-up voicemail from him, so let's take another listen.
Hey, it's at Scorpio Dino 16 on Twitter again. I know this must be annoying getting a second call, but some huge, gigantic news. The Jurassic World toy line just broke. I'm talking a couple hours ago at Toy Fair, I believe. And I think it's most of the hybrid line, if not all, has been revealed, including a 4-inch Owen figure with motorcycle and blue, who apparently has a secret hybrid reveal or something. There's also a new Indominus Rex, and I don't know all the details. They're also going to be a Dilophosaurus Rex Basher Biter, I think. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. It's really, really exciting for me. I've been waiting for a figure, an actual human figure. So you have a nice day. Long live Jurassic Park, I guess.
Well, that was perfect timing with that call. You are 100% in luck for this episode. As my guest this week, Victoria from Victoria's Cantina will help us take a look at all the Jurassic World Dino Hybrid items that broke out of the New York Toy Fair. I think you'll appreciate our breakdown, hopefully, so I won't spoil it here, but you'll just have to keep listening. I was recently on an episode of Jurassic Unicast with James and Steve, where we talked all about Star Wars and, of course, a little bit of Jurassic Park.
Hello and welcome back to Jurassic Unicast. I'm joined here with James Hawkins. We've also got a special guest back, Brad Jost from Jurassic Park Podcast. So, the film is finally out. How long did it take you to see it from when it first arrived?
I had to see it the first showing.
When the music came on, I was like, ah!
Like, I just got that excitement again.
So I take it you really liked it then to go and see it 3 times.
Yeah, well, I was hoping I was going to really like it because I already had all the tickets purchased.
I just thought, do you know what? Jurassic World got a lot of stick. Everyone was saying these raptors are not quite right. And I'm thinking, them raptors, to me, them raptors looked better.
One of the things I didn't like was how quickly Ray became one with the Force. But
I'm just intrigued to see what Trevorrow's going to do in the night with the last one.
Yeah, me too.
The guy seems to know, he knows what nostalgia is, and he knows what fans want.
Make sure to find Jurassic Unicast on YouTube to listen, and follow them on Twitter at JP_till_I_die. Let's open up the doors to the Visitor Center, where Victoria from Victoria's Cantina joins me to talk about the new Dino Hybrid toy line. With all the Jurassic World hybrid toys coming out of the New York Toy Fair this past weekend, I wanted to bring on Victoria from Victoria's Cantina to help us take a closer look at everything Hasbro has to offer. But before we get into all that, I gotta ask you one question, and it's a question I ask every guest that comes on the show. So, if you were stuck in a kitchen, but this time with a hybrid Carniraptor, what would you do, and would you make it out alive?
Oh gosh, with a Carniraptor. Well, I would like to think that I would be able to find some way to defeat it, either by, outwitting it somehow, or finding some sort of obstacle in my environment that I would be able to, maybe hide or outrun it, but probably that wouldn't happen.
No, yeah, especially with this hybrid, you don't know what it's going to do.
Exactly. I don't know if it can spit fire, or if it has laser beams in its eyes. I have no idea.
It's all possible, I think. So why don't we just introduce you to everybody? I'm assuming most people within the Jurassic Park community already knows your work, but if they don't, what is it that you do within the community?
Well, I am, what I do is I have Victoria's Cantina. It's a review channel on YouTube, and ever since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed collecting toys. My parents, bought me and my siblings a bunch of toys growing up, so we were always very blessed to have all sorts of toys, and that kind of ranged from all sorts of different lines, from Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles. Of course, there were Barbies and Disney princesses, things like that. But then, Jurassic Park, when I was 8, that's when the movie came out, and we had a lot of the toys, still do.
Yeah.
And so that kind of grew into a lifelong passion for toys and collectibles, something I just never outgrew it. And now that I'm an adult, I don't really have the restrictions of being a kid, and I can, buy what I want to buy. And I like sharing that passion of, the collectibles and the toys. And so I thought about making a YouTube channel one day. And it was after I'd been laid off from a job. I had been with the company for several years. And, that happened. I ended up going back to school, which I'm doing right now. I'm a full-time college student. But 3 years ago, I ended up setting up Victoria's Cantina, and I just meant it as a little thing. I didn't really think anybody was going to watch it. I didn't think anybody was going to know about it, anything like that. But I wanted to have a way to talk about, I had free time, so I wanted to talk about the toys that I collected and, show them to people and say, hey, I like this about it, I don't like this about it. And ultimately, it took off after a little while. So, we've been doing really well, and we review Star Wars, Jurassic Park, DC collectibles like Batman, DC comics, and we do Marvel, and a little bit of everything else here and there. There's a lot of miscellaneous things on the channel that we look at. But yes, largely we do Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, and I think that's probably why I'm here.
Yeah, definitely. I like it because you have a lot of these things like before anybody else. You have like your video posted up. So if anybody's interested in learning about it, they can go straight to your source there and find out all about, the hybrid lines or anything really. I saw you just posted a Han Solo review on there, and that thing, I don't, is that even on the shelf yet? I haven't seen that thing. I was surprised to see it on your site already.
It is out at retail. I personally haven't seen it. I got mine on Amazon.com, like I do a lot of collectibles, because it's just really hard to find things at retail these days. The distribution issues are immense. all across the board. So yeah, I got it on Amazon, and yeah, it's a pretty sweet figure.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome that you can introduce people like this. And before we get into this hybrid stuff, what did you think about the overall Jurassic World toy line? The previous version.
I was pretty let down, and especially when those first photos started coming out of Toy Fair last year. Because, I did grow up with the Jurassic Park toys. We had the awesome stuff that Kenner put forth back in the 90s from both Jurassic Park and The Lost World. Yeah. I took very good care of my toys. I never really played with them per se. I kept the boxes, and, they're in perfect condition. Awesome. I've grown up with those, and I have those, and when I first saw the photos come out last year, what Hasbro was doing, I was kind of like, wait, there's got to be a joke, right? And then, a few months passed, toys start hitting the stores, and then it's quite obvious that Hasbro has no interest in replicating what Kenner did back in the day. This is just a totally different company that's helming, their toy lines, and it certainly reflects the Jurassic World toys.
Yeah, I mean, they did produce a lot of stuff, but it's just not up to par with what we've seen previously. Everybody knows that. Yeah, like you, I have all this stuff right here on my shelf, and just looking at it now, you can see the difference between, what came out now and what came out then. It's just so much more detail back then, and such great pieces. So I really did miss that as well.
Certainly, and you always expect that things like that are going to progress and improve and get better, not regress as they have with the Jurassic World toys. So that's a bit of a bummer, considering that we waited so long for a movie, we waited so long to get a toy line, and once we do, we get stuff that's, just not up to par with what we were accustomed to previously. So by and large, it was a disappointment. I think there are a few bright spots here and there. Certain toys like the Bad Girl Indominus, I think, is pretty solid. Despite the fact that she doesn't stand. And I think the Growlers assortment, by and large, is probably the best assortment from the line.
Yeah, there's definitely some good pieces. But when you're trying to compare them and things like screw holes and different things like that, you just can't really compare these toys. But I like to think of it as, we're adults now, and we're sort of like collectors now. And basically, we just buy these pieces just to put on a shelf or do something like that. But to kids today, they probably don't know the difference. They probably love these things just as much as we loved those ones back in the 90s. So that's a good thing to look forward to, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have seen kids enjoying them. When the line first came out, I remember being at Target, and I saw a young girl in the toy aisle, and she was getting, I think it was a Dilophosaurus, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, these things have been a pretty good seller for Hasbro, right?
They've been an excellent seller for Hasbro.
Yeah, so I'm really surprised that they haven't taken the care that they or that Kenner used to, So it's surprising, but I guess I get it, So who knows?
Yeah, totally. And they were caught off guard in a way. I mean, I don't think anybody really expected the movie was going to be as big as it was. Mm-hmm. So Hasbro, I mean, they clearly didn't put their best foot forward, but at the same time, they weren't really anticipating, I don't think, something that was going to be as big as it was. And I think they've kind of also gotten into what I like to call the Marvel syndrome mindset. And basically, it's with Marvel movies, you get a movie like every, 6 months or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
And they have to have a toy line ready every 6 months to, be on time for each movie. So I kind of think that they sort of treated the Jurassic World line the same way. It was going to be a one-off thing that they would have out for a few months, and then they'd move on to something else.
Yeah, it's a shame that we're sort of like second fiddle nowadays. I mean, Star Wars is obviously the biggest franchise out there, but Jurassic World and Jurassic Park is right next to it, essentially. So I think we deserve a little bit better stuff coming around, and hopefully in the future, maybe with the next movie, we get something. And even some of this stuff that was released at the Toy Fair, it's good-looking stuff. Don't get me wrong, I don't love all of it, but some of it's really good-looking. So why don't we get into some of that Toy Fair stuff? And one of the ones that you actually already have, right? That's the Hybrid T-Rex. What did you think of that one?
The Hybrid FX T-Rex. When I first saw it, when the photos leaked about a month ago or so, I thought, oh my gosh, that looks interesting.
Yeah.
To put it nicely. I thought it looked very, kind of out of left field. I mean, we knew they were doing hybrids at that point. We've heard mumblings about them since last summer, basically. And from what I understand, this line has been ready to go since before the movie even came out, Hasbro's already had the designs worked up for it. It's just that they weren't necessarily going to release it unless the Jurassic World toy line was a success, which it obviously was.
Yeah.
And of course, now they have to put everything through production and everything. That's why we're still waiting for a new product. But the T-Rex, I actually was pleasantly surprised with it. When I saw it on the toy shelves at Toys R Us, I picked it up, I started pressing the buttons, and I thought, wait, this sounds pretty good. I mean, it has nice sounds. I think they're movie-accurate sounds. And the action feature was actually kind of cool. So, I got it home, I filmed the review, and as I got to play with it, while I was filming, I thought it wasn't too bad. Actually, I think when I was grading it, I gave it, I think, like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. So it's actually pretty fun, despite the way that it looks. It does have a pretty cool paint scheme. It has some iridescent paint on its back, and a really cool action feature. And, again, the sounds, I think, are the best highlight of the toy for me.
Yeah.
Especially since, they are so movie accurate. And so all in all, it's a pretty solid toy. I think that if the rest of the line follows suit, despite the fact that they added screw holes to this toy, which didn't have it before, that I think it'll overall be a pretty cool toy line.
Yeah. From the start, it looks like it's going to be cool. It looks like it's going to be really fun. And with this toy here, it kind of looks cool. I like the coloring on it, and the spikes are okay. But I think, like you said, the action and the noise that comes from it are pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we have the Indominus, which my friend Adam, who was at Toy Fair, he was gracious enough to get a lot of photos for us yesterday, and he did a video of the Indominus, and it looks great. I mean, it's different for sure. I mean, it doesn't look like the Indominus from the film. I mean, it does, but it doesn't, because it's all colorful. But the sounds, I think, sounded pretty good. They sound to be the same as the Bad Girl Indominus that Hasbro did last year. And it looks to be a new toy. The only thing that I see different about it is I think the tail's the only thing that's the same, a carryover from the original release. Everything else looks to be brand new, even the legs, which initially looked kind of the same. The toes on it are actually a little bit shorter.
Okay. Yeah, this one, it's basically the counterpart to the T-Rex, so it's like around the same size. This thing's awesome looking. I don't know if I'd buy it. It's for $35. I might just go with the other one, the Bad Girl Indominus first. But this does look pretty cool, and it has that awesome chomping action. So there's nothing to not like about this piece.
Totally. And, the kids love the action features. So it's a pretty interesting one, too, the way that it opens its mouth and kind of moves its neck. So you could probably even act like you're feeding it or something. And I think kids are probably going to do that. And, it's very interesting. But the sounds do sound pretty cool as well. So I think it's overall pretty solid.
Speaking of feeding it, I really miss the old Lost World style, where you could put the human figure through the dinosaur's mouth and take it out the stomach. That was an awesome feature. I wish we could get something like that again.
Totally. Like the stuff that we saw with toys back in the 90s, late 80s into the 90s, it's just stuff you don't see nowadays.
Yeah.
Action figures were largely not articulated as highly as they are now. And I know now they're coming out with less and less articulation, but even back then, I think what really made an action feature was like the accessories that it came with, the ability to buy other action figures and vehicles and just kind of interact everything. And things like that, with the bull T-Rex being able to swallow the human in the little capsule.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like fun stuff. It's gimmicky, but kids love that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And like you said, the articulation, I don't really care for it that much. I don't care. As long as the legs and the arms move, that's good enough for me. I don't need the knees to bend or arms to move all over the place. I don't need any of that stuff. Just give me, a straightforward figure that I can just, throw around and beat up. That's fine.
Certainly.
Yeah. And let's move on here. We actually got a few assortment of different hybrids, and I guess it's just like they're the basher and biter style, I guess.
Yes, they were previously known as the basher biters, and now it looks like we're labeling them as just the basic figure assortment.
Exactly. Yeah, these ones look cool. I have a few that I do like, a few that I don't like. Which ones do you like?
From this line, I actually like, it looks like there's 3 Indominus Rexes, interestingly. Yeah. And I just like the most simple one that has like the red stripes on it. It looks kind of similar to the larger electronic one. And then they have one that has purple on it. I'm not too big on that. And then there's one that looks like it has a helmet or something on it, which just looks weird. But I like the most basic one that they have there, and then I think the Carnoraptor actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you there. I like that Indominus. I really like the coloring on it. Like you said, it's got that orangish red. It's got like blue undertones, and it fades down into like a brownish on the bottom. That one's really cool. I do like that one a lot. So if I was going to pick up one, I'd definitely pick up this one. And let's see, what other one? Yeah, I'm not a fan of that other Indominus with the helmet and the spikes on the back. I don't know what they're going with. Yeah, it's very weird.
It's like a medieval Indominus Rex or something.
Yeah, they're doing that with that one. It's got armor, and then also the Ankylosaurus has armor. And it's just, the Ankylo is just basically giant spikes on its back and tail. It looks kind of cool. I'm not sure if I'd pick it up. When I first saw it from afar, it kind of looked cooler, but when you get up close, it's got this like iridescent like paint scheme. It looks like it, maybe just the coloring in the room, I'm not really sure. But that one's okay. What do you think of that one?
It's interesting, as are all of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I would pick that one up. I know with the Jurassic World, regular mainline, I picked everything up and I did review everything. With hybrids, I'm not so sure I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to pick and choose. And that one, I don't know if I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to need to see that in the store first and then determine whether or not I want to buy it.
Yeah, it's sort of like I said before, there's basically these are like repurposed versions of what we've already seen in a way. And I would more certainly just pick up the old version rather than this one. The old Ankylosaurus is much cooler looking in my opinion.
Right, and it was one of the most solid basher biters.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool. We also have the Stegoceratops, which we did get an older version of that previously, but it looks way different this time around. And for one, I actually like the design of it. I like the look of the creature, like the attributes on the frill and everything like that. And it looks cool, but I'm not a fan of the coloring.
For me, it's actually the opposite. I'm not huge on the design, but I like the coloring. They're very erratic looking. They're very colorful. And they say that the market research indicates kids love the colors, so I'm not so sure if that's true or not. For me as a kid, I don't know if I would have gone for that, but that's the reason why you see like Batman figures in all sorts of colors, except for black, as it would have been in the film.
Yeah, I mean, you like the coloring on this one. It's got a lot of blues, a darker blue, light blue, basically a yellowish, mustardy kind of color for the horns and the spikes along the back. It's definitely, I like the design. I think it looks like it should be a bigger figure with this design, because I would feel like that's like a full-grown Stegoceratops. But it's cool. I may pick it up, but I have to see it, like you said, with the other ones.
Definitely, and the body is reused from the previous release. It's just that the head is new and the coloring, of course, is brand new.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that body does look the same as the one I have. But that head, I do like the head. It's pretty cool.
It's a lot more pronounced in the original version.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. We have this one I was looking forward to probably the most, but I kind of got let down once I saw the actual image. It's the Dilophosaurus Rex. What do you think about this one?
Oh, man. I think that one is probably the worst out of the lot for sure.
Yeah, I didn't expect that to happen. I mean, God, with that name, Dilophosaurus Rex, I expected something really cool, not just the same Rex basher biter looking thing that we got before, but now with a frill on its neck. It's just weird.
Exactly, and previously that probably was regarded as being the most inferior basher biter figure, and now that we have the same thing with, like you say, just a frill and then some crests above its eyes, it's just not the strongest out of the bunch.
Yeah, I don't know, when I think of Dilophosaurus, I imagine the crazy color scheme and fierceness of it, but this just looks like a goofy brown T-Rex with a frill. It's just goofy looking.
It's very goofy looking.
Yeah, I feel like even since the old version, the head just looks so giant on this one. That's what makes it goofy in my opinion, I think.
Right, the proportions are just very unusual, and then it does have this huge head and then this pretty small frill by comparison. And just not one of the stronger figures out of the lot.
Yeah. This next one I see here, I'm not sure if this is... it's a Spinosaurus, but I'm not sure what they're categorizing it. Is it a Spinoraptor? It doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it has any raptor features, does it?
No, it doesn't. It looks to actually be the same exact toy from the regular Jurassic World line, just with new colors.
Yeah. Because I know they're supposed to release a Spinoraptor, but this doesn't seem to be that. I don't know, it's just
Not
looks
at
like
all.
a hybrid Spino.
Right, it's just the coloring that's different on it. I'm not sure why they would have called it a Spinoraptor, unless they're going to change it later, but maybe it's a stand-in.
Yeah, it could be. I could be mixing the two up because I don't see any that would be a Spinoraptor in these images. But I know we're supposed to get one, I believe. So, but what do you think of this one? Is it decent coloring, or do you not like that?
The coloring's actually not too bad. I really don't like how it has its feet and its its front arms. Like the hands are sort of like a gold color.
Yeah.
Sort of makes it look like it's wearing shoes and gloves.
It does. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That gold, it looks like it just dipped its feet in gold, and it looks very silly. But I do like it. It's kind of got like zebra-esque like lines on it, and that looks cool. I like the coloring from the red to the blue, but those gold dipped fingers and feet have got to go. Right.
The stripes are pretty cool. Maybe it has some zebra DNA in it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it's got to, right? And this, let's see, let's move on to this next one. I don't know, maybe you can fill me in as to what this one is. It's this reddish one with it looks like a yellowish beak on it. What do you think that one is?
That is the Carnoraptor.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the Carno. There's another one as well. It's a red one, but it's the Growler version. What's that one?
It's also a Carnoraptor, I believe.
That's what I thought. They look so similar, but they just have slightly different features and look a little bit different. Actually, yeah, they both have raptor claws on them, so that should be the Carnoraptor. I was just confused by the beak. It looks like it has a beak on this thing.
It does. The way that they colored it very much makes it look like it has a beak.
Yeah, there's one. We heard it was going to be a Pterominus or Mimus. I forget what it was. So I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be that, but it doesn't. I think it's definitely the Carnoraptor.
I don't think that was on display as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I don't think so. But this one, it looks interesting. I like the other one better, probably. And you got a giant screw hole here in the neck. It's a little distracting. What do you think of this one?
Right. It's actually not too bad. I mean, I agree that the Growler is nicer looking overall, but I mean, it's something new. It looks like it uses the same Velociraptor body that they did for Raptor Blue from the Basher Biters, and then they give it a new head.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. The color, it does look like it has a beak. A little bird-like maybe.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were trying to infuse some other flying creature into this one as well, but who knows? We'll find out, I guess, when we see the box.
Sure.
Yeah. It's not my favorite. I don't think I would pick this up. And sort of like along with the other ones, the colors are just like too much. I'm not a fan of these like ultra colored, dinosaurs.
Right.
So that continues.
I like the colors.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like the colors if they make sense. I mean, modern day birds, a lot of them are pretty colorful. It's possible that dinosaurs would have been quite colorful, at least the raptor-based sort of Salisaurian type dinosaurs. But we just don't know if they did the applications, tastefully. Then it makes sense. Things like this, it's just hybrid dinosaurs, so anything goes basically.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, they're just creating like hyper crazy looking dinosaurs, and nothing's to say these are actual or would have ever existed. But and yeah, we do know that dinosaurs could have crazy colors. But in my eyes, when I view a dinosaur, my first thought is the Jurassic Park dinosaurs. So I tend to just think of those ones, and whatever they show on the screen there, that's the way they look. And obviously that's not the way it goes, because we know they all tend to have feathers and different attributes. So
Sure.
I guess we can take it easy when it comes to looking at the toys. This Carnoraptor for the Growler, I like the design a lot more. I think it looks cooler, it looks tougher. But again, it's the coloring for me. I don't know if I'd pick it up for that reason alone.
I actually really like this one. The color, it's not its strongest suit, but the sculpt looks actually really good, and it does look like it has the Velociraptor body from the Growler line previously, at least the ones that they used for Charlie and Delta. But again, they gave this one a new head, and I actually think it's a really nicely sculpted head. If they would have just done a regular version in the previous line, I think that would have been pretty awesome. The Carnotaurus, but the way that they did it here, I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, the coloring is not its strongest suit. I probably would have gone for something a little bit different.
Yeah, I do like the body and everything, and I do like the head, but I feel like the red coloring kind of doesn't give enough detail for that head, because it looks like it needs some like shading or something to kind of fill in all those details that are on the face.
Exactly. They should have painted the horns, more natural color. They're just red, and given it more of a wash to bring out more of that sculpted detail.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's cool. I bet you this will be a big seller, though. I know I've seen so far a lot of people on Twitter have been really excited about this one, so I'm sure it'll be going off the shelves as soon as it hits it.
Certainly, and the name itself, Carnoraptor, sounds pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think I would probably pick it up alone if I was a kid, just for that name. The next one I have here on the list is, it's a Velociraptor, it's a hybrid raptor, and I don't know, doesn't say what it's a hybrid of, I don't think. It's just, but what it is actually, it looks like the same coloring scheme as the original Jurassic Park Explorers from the first movie. This is awesome. I love that design.
It's a very cool design, and if you look at the body on it and the neck, it actually has that sort of DNA sequencing sort of look to it that the Hybrid FX T-Rex has, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's obviously not realistic, but the fact that they're going for a sort of unifying theme amongst different releases in this line is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is a really cool trait. It's barely noticeable in the picture, but yeah, I'm sure it looks much better in person, but that's a really cool design, that DNA strand kind of going along its underside. That's really cool. But I can't get over this green and red striped. It's just so cool. And, it's basically just the same raptor we've seen before, but I'd definitely be more apt to pick this one up than some of the older ones.
I agree. The coloring on it is very nicely done. The only thing I would nitpick about it is the fact that they did not paint the claws on it. Other than that, it does look pretty solid and very colorful. And if I did see this in the store, no doubt I would probably pick it up.
Yeah, one of the things I like, the eye looks really good on this. But yeah, those claws. Yeah, you're right. Now that I see that, it's kind of distracting. Yeah, definitely just give it a darker color right there. That would have been nice.
Hopefully they will. Again, hopefully this is just like an early production sample before they actually do the production run, and maybe they'll fix little things like that. Maybe they won't. I'm not sure. But, until we actually see the final product, there's a little bit of hope that they will go back and, fix certain things like that.
Yeah. Now, do you think this design, do you think they modeled it specifically off those old Explorers, or do you think that was just a random coincidence that it looks the same?
That's a really good question. I would like to think that they took inspiration from the Explorers, but it's entirely possible it's just random colors, and, to us, knowing the first film so well, we pick up on things like that. Yeah. So that's a good question. I hope we can run that by them at some point.
Yeah, that would be awesome to find out. And I don't know if it might help their cause here, but the next design, the Dilophosaurus, that sort of has the same design as the original Dilophosaurus from the theme park. I'm not sure I love the color, the paint job on it, but you can tell, I think, that they were going for that original paint scheme.
Right, exactly. It does look very similar, and it looks quite similar also to the Jurassic Park 3 version that they did, as far as the coloration goes. It just kind of has like that red on the frill, and it's just a very interesting color scheme for sure. It's the same body that we saw before, but if you look at like the arms and the legs, it does have like some orange. I do kind of like how there's little bits of coloring here and there, so it's not all one color.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as strong as the original release. It is pretty cool though. I actually think that the color is interesting.
Yeah, I'm sort of the opposite. I'm not a fan of the other one, the original version that came out for Jurassic World, but this one I may be more apt to pick up, unless that paint job on the frill looks muddy when it comes in person. I'm not sure. It just looks a little messy right now, but that just could be the picture. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. I actually kind of like the first one a good bit. I mean, it wasn't the strongest figure in the line by any means, especially it has those saloon door frills on it.
Yeah.
But the sounds, I think, again, like with the hybrid T-Rex, it's got those movie accurate sounds, which, I kind of tend to get drawn to.
Oh, absolutely. When this Dilophosaurus came out for the original, like the Jurassic Park line, that was one of my favorite ones. I love the ability to actually take the frill on and off. That was a really cool feature, which probably is, it's definitely missing from this line. Because when you witness the Dilophosaurus in the first movie, you don't see the frill until it decides to, take it out. So that was a cool version of that old line. But this one, you basically see the frill 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
But the last thing I see here is actually the Owen figure with a motorcycle.
That's an interesting one, and one that we were really looking forward to, probably more than anything in the line. Once that list from Toys R Us leaked indicating different items that were going to be in this line, it didn't say Owen on it, it just said that it would be an alpha cycle. Yeah. And we speculated, hey, maybe it's Owen, maybe it's not, and luckily it was. It's an interesting looking set. The only thing is they didn't show the Velociraptor blue that's going to be included with it, so we don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, but I like it. I mean, it's okay. I'm fine it doesn't look like Chris Pratt. That's okay. Because I have a lot of older figures as well from, some from the original Jurassic Park line don't look like them, like the Nedries and stuff like that. But the Lost World, I feel like that toy line looked even further from the characters we saw in the movies. So I'm okay with this guy, whoever this is, looks close to Chris Pratt, but not, you can tell it's not him.
Right, there is a passing resemblance to him. He's got the same gun, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Although it looks a little larger than it was in the film. Mm-hmm. And the outfit coloration is very similar. He's got the vest, he's got the knife on his back. He's got the same sort of hiking boots that Chris Pratt wore in the film. And it actually, now that I look at it again, it looks like it has ball-jointed elbows, which is interesting.
Yeah, I could tell that, but the knees don't look like they bent at all. And they're in like a strange pose, and I'm assuming it's because he can ride the motorcycle.
Most likely it's so that you can put him on the motorcycle. Huh?
Yeah. I have a lot of characters that have had motorcycles before, and their legs weren't bent. It was always straight-legged, and it felt kind of weird. So this might be a good attribute to have for somebody who's going to ride a motorcycle the whole time.
Sure, and I think once they have him on the motorcycle, which it would have been cool if they would have shown that at the show as well. Mm-hmm. I think once you get him on the motorcycle, the aesthetic might be a little bit off. They could have easily countered that by at least giving him jointed knees. They didn't. Ultimately, it'll probably be sufficient. And, of course, it's at $20 price point. It's going to be a pretty good deal getting, the figure, the bike, and the Raptor.
Yeah, that's actually like a crazy good deal. It comes with those things. I think it comes with 2 accessories, so one being the gun. I'm not sure what the other one is. Hopefully it's a guitar, because because it looks like he's in it like a guitar playing pose. It's kind of strange, but whatever. But overall, I really like this figure. We've been dying to have a human figure, like a bigger human figure. And this guy, I guess he'll fill the role. It's a shame that we don't get, the Claires or anybody else like that. So hopefully maybe over time we'll get something.
I certainly hope we do. I think that's a pretty big oversight. I mean, I see why they would want to include a Owen figure over Claire. He's probably more marketable. A lot of kids that are going to be buying the line are going to want to have him in the bike. But it's a huge oversight, especially considering, in my eyes, she's the main lead of the film. Yeah. That they didn't try to get her in here somewhere. I think I'm pretty disappointed about that. But again, hopefully in the future, we will see something like that included in a future line or in a future wave of hybrid toys.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking about this just recently with Jennifer Tarek, who comes on the show every now and then, and we were saying how it's such a missed opportunity to not have like a Claire and a Rex figure kind of packaged together, because so many kids would love to recreate that scene with Claire running away from the Rex. You maybe include like a little flare to put in her hand or something like that. It would have been awesome to have that kind of combo pack.
Absolutely. If they would have taken the Hybrid FX T-Rex and, raised the price by $5, fine. Given us a Claire figure in that set, it would have been perfect. Perfect opportunity to have included her into the line and finally given us a figure of her.
Yeah. It's such a missed opportunity, but I don't know at this point if they'll release anything. Maybe they'll wait till the next movie comes out, but we still got a long time for that. So I hope this is not our last line before Jurassic World 2, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we'll get any future versions of Jurassic World toys before the second film?
Personally, I don't. I think the press release actually indicated that this line was meant to kind of tide us over until the next film.
Yeah.
If anything, there might be more waves of toys that are within the hybrid line, and in that light, it's possible we might get more human figures. But I'm not too hopeful personally. It is a possibility, though. Just keep our fingers crossed. Keep telling Hasbro on Twitter and social media that we want to get that figure, and hopefully we'll get enough support, and finally they will do her as an action figure.
Yeah. So you've already done the T-Rex review. I'm sure you plan on doing all these or just some of them? What do you think?
With the original Jurassic World line, I did pick up the entire main line. I reviewed everything.
Yeah.
I didn't end up taking everything, but I did review everything, and I kept probably roughly about half of what I purchased. And with hybrids, I think I'm going to pick and choose. I'm going to be a little more selective. Now, of course, I say that now. Who's to say I'm not going to be in the store and say, oh, I want this. Oh, this is new. I got to have that. That's a possibility. But from right now, at this point in time, I kind of feel like I'm going to be a little bit more choosy with the hybrid line. And, just pick things like that. Definitely want to get the Owen with motorcycle and blue pack. Definitely want to get the electronic Indominus and, the Growlers. Probably I'm going to get those, especially the Carnoraptor. But, with the Bashers, I might pick and choose those, maybe grab one or two. We'll just have to wait and see how it works out.
Yeah, so in the meantime, where can people go find your other reviews until you get up to date and post these ones?
We're always doing reviews on Victoria's Cantina on YouTube, so I try and do at least 3 reviews per week. Sometimes it's more, and it's just kind of across the board. Usually what I do is each week I'll have a different theme, so I'll have like a Batman week, I'll have a Star Wars week, a Jurassic World week, dinosaurs. I also do Papo reviews, Rebor, and Terra dinosaurs. So if you want to, until we get the hybrid dinosaurs for review, certainly come by to Victoria's Cantina. We've always got all kinds of stuff going on, and be happy to see you there.
And you also are on Twitter, right? At Vic's Cantina?
At Vic's Cantina, yes. I'm on Twitter, and I also have a Facebook page.
Awesome, yeah. So definitely go check out all your stuff, because I love the reviews. I think they're informative, they're funny. So definitely go check them out and get up to date. And thank you so much for coming on, and I look forward to maybe talking to you again in the future.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. Boy, I hate being right all the time.
We're gonna have to drop the can! Are you ready? 1, 2, come on!
The audio clip this week is a parody version of the Jurassic World trailer done completely by one man's voice. It's pretty hilarious, but you can also tell a lot of work went into making it. Take a listen.
I'm really proud of you for going on this trip. You're gonna have so much fun. And remember, if something chases you, run.
We have learned more in the past decade from genetics than a century of digging up bones. A whole new frontier has opened up. We have our first genetically modified hybrid.
You just went and made a new dinosaur? Probably not a good idea. That's almost 40 feet high. You really think she climbed out? Depends. On what? What kind of dinosaur they cooked up in that lab? Evacuate the island. She's a highly intelligent animal. She will kill anything that moves.
Oh, God.
Make sure to find the link to the video in our show notes, and go show Brian all your support. I had the chance to sit down with Sabrina and Garrett from I Know Dino, the Big Dinosaur Podcast, for episode 60 of their podcast. We talked all about dinosaurs in the media from 2015.
Hello, and welcome to I Know Dino, the Big Dinosaur Podcast, where we cover news, interviews, and discussions of all things dinosaur.
Hello and welcome to I Know Dino. I'm Garrett.
And I'm Sabrina.
We have an interview with Brad Jost from the Jurassic Park Podcast. Yeah, you can especially tell when everyone tries to work Jurassic into the name of their thing. Why are you using Jurassic rather than Cretaceous or Triassic?
But I think one of the entire mess-ups that they had with Jurassic World was, not projecting how big it was going to be, even for their theme parks.
Yeah, we had one of those guys in a dinosaur suit at our wedding, too, actually.
Oh, really?
It was supposed to be a juvenile T-Rex, I think, so it was a little bit bigger than...
His name was Duncan, and they put a lot of time and effort into building this animatronic head for him.
And I think, actually, I like Jurassic World a little bit better than I like The Good Dinosaur.
Make sure to listen via iTunes, check out their website, iknowdino.com, and follow them on Twitter, @iknowdino. Thanks for listening to the 38th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. Hopefully I didn't sound like too much of a downer on the new toy line. I really think there are a few missed opportunities, but overall I think it's a fun line that should be enjoyed by all. I want to thank listeners at ScorpioDino16 and Fede for sending in their voicemails. It's always appreciated hearing from the listeners, so make sure to join in on the fun. Of course, I have to thank Victoria for joining me here today. It was really fun to compare our thoughts on the new toys, but to also get the opinion of one of the pros in the community. Make sure to go check out her reviews on YouTube and follow her on Twitter, @VixCantina. If you want to interact with us, we do most of our work over on Twitter, @Jurassic Park Pod. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Jurassic Park Podcast, and our Instagram handle is @Jurassic Park Podcast. You can listen to us via iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podomatic, and YouTube, or really wherever else podcasts are found. So make sure to subscribe. If you haven't already, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes or a glowing review wherever you listen to the podcast. It will seriously help our rankings and make it easier for fans like you to find us. Now, we're usually spotted commenting on the Jurassic Park subreddit as Jurassic Park Podcast. Don't forget to check out our show notes for all the links. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us with any news stories, MP3s, segment ideas, pictures, top 10s, or comments to JurassicParkPod@gmail.com. If you'd like to record something for the show, like Fede did, you can send it in to us and we'll feature it in an upcoming episode. Now, if you don't have any way to record, you can give our voicemail a call, like ScorpioDino16 did this episode, and leave us a message, or you can even text us. That number is 732-825-7763. Thanks for listening, and enjoy.
"5 minutes. Drop what you're doing and leave now."